Hello, my name is Gracie. Welcome back to Podium Pop. I'm here with my co-host Celine and our new friend Mare. Welcome, Mare. She is
Hi.
MotorsportMere on social media, and we are back with another Podium Pop Pals episode. It's a tongue twister. Mare, real quick.
Say that five
Yeah,
times
right?
fast.
If you want to do a quick introduction about yourself, it can be like who you are, motorsport related, not motorsport related, whatever you would like the people to know.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys first for having me on. It's so much fun doing this with y'all and so fun to get to meet you guys in Miami. I have been a motorsport fan kind of like low key all
Oh,
my life.
nice.
I grew up with a stepdad that was super into NASCAR and IndyCar, but it was kind of one of those things that like my stepdad had that on Sundays, and then like when I was over at my dad's house, he had golf on Sundays. So it was like the things I grew up with on Sundays were the things that I like never thought would be my hobbies as an adult.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, my dad was like, you have nothing else to do. You need to watch Drive to Survive. You would love it and you would get super into it. And of course, I did, became obsessed. And now it's like that's how I bonded with my dad over COVID time was like us talking about Drive to Survive and then watching F1 together. And he and I like went to our first races together. But now it's expanded. Now I have a super cool bond with my stepdad too, with getting into like IndyCar and NASCAR. But outside of that, I'm a golf girly. I like being outside. I grew up playing tennis and was like refusing to play golf. But I live in Houston, Texas, so it's pretty much like outdoor weather all
Oh,
year
yeah.
round. We actually get like maybe 2 real days of winter.
Wow.
Yeah, so I love everything motorsport related. Started creating content back like last September after all my friends were just tired as all get out of me talking about racing
That's so real.
24/7. And
Very real.
I was like, you know what? I want to meet other people that love this as
Oh,
much as
yeah.
I do because, like, my friends and family, I was wearing them out with it. Now it's like going to races and stuff. My dad and stepmom and my husband are all like super on board with going to races still and traveling to do that. And it's like our thing. And I love having that. But jumping into like a content creation space was not ever on my roadmap or radar. And I'm so grateful that I got to follow other people like you guys and so many other ones that made me be like, no, I can do
Oh,
this and
yes.
meet really amazing, wonderful people. So yeah, that's just a little bit about
Love
me.
it. So yeah, we were in Miami together.
It was so much
It
fun.
was so much fun.
I'm so glad we got to meet you because we were like leading up to it. Like me and Gracie always go into like a race weekend and we're always like, okay, like who do we know is going to be there? Who are we going to try to meet up? And before the weekend, the whole time we're like, we have to meet Mare. Like I don't care what we do, but we have to meet Mare no matter what. So the fact that we were able to check that off our bucket list and also we were able to go to the meetup together, it was so much fun because going to meetups can always be a little intimidating by yourself.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, if y'all had not reached out, I don't think I would have gone.
That's so
Like
fair.
that this was my first race to go to after like starting creating content because like by the time Coda hit last year, I had been creating content all of 3 weeks, you know? So I was like, there was no chance I was going to go like meet up with people in Austin. So this was really my first race. And I still don't think I would have had y'all not reached out and been like, we've got to meet and come with me. So thank y'all for doing that because it really opened my eyes at like how many other people feel the same
Mhm.
way. I think people can kind of make that assumption of like just because you put out content on the internet and like have a TikTok or have a podcast that you're immediately like a huge extrovert and like want to go meet people all the time. And I for sure would not have gone
Yeah.
without y'all being like, come meet up with me and go. I would have just like stayed with my
Yeah.
family.
Well, it's always like it's lucky that like me and Gracie started our like channel together so that
Yeah.
it's like at least I have Gracie with me to do things like that. Like and we were still intimidated. When we
We're
went
so
last
scared.
year, there was like a legitimate like we're talking about the fan behavior, right?
Yeah.
Fan behavior meetup that was in Miami. We went to the same one last year. And like even having two people, we still were like standing and like to the side being like, you go talk to him first. No, you go talk to him first. And also with creating like content also, you run into the issue that's like we're mutual followers, but I don't know if you'll recognize me in real
That's what
life
I'm always
or like
scared of.
do like I know who you are, but do you know who I am? Like we comment, but like we don't comment that. It was like always like that back and forth, like how well are we gonna like
Right.
pretend like we know each other kind of
Yes.
thing. which also I think kind of makes it a
Well,
little
it's so funny
intimidating.
because, like, yeah, it was so funny because it was like right when we walked up, and I'm like, okay, we're over here. Yeah, this is what I'm wearing. Where are you guys? And then it was like within 2 minutes of us walking over, it was like, oh, fast friends. Like we've known each other our
Yeah,
whole
that's what we
lives,
said.
which was like, it was so, I was so nervous about it, and then so nervous about like going to meet other people. And then I kind of got like crowd panic, like walking up when we went to that meetup because there were so many other people. And I'm like, and this, I remember very vividly, this one girl was like talking about how many followers she had. She's like, what about you? And I'm like, I have like 300 followers. And I'm like, that was a milestone for me, girl. And she was like, oh, that's so great. And I was like, yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know that we're like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not interested in that. Like, I'm just here to meet people
Mhm.
that love this as much as
Yeah.
I do. And I think that's what made it a little bit easier walking in there, was because I felt like I immediately already connected with you
Mhm.
guys. And maybe it's because I'd followed y'all for a while and felt like I knew y'all. I don't know, but it was like instantly I was like, these are my
Yeah.
people.
No, it was so funny because legitimately we were on one side of the bridge and we're like, it's so nice to meet you. And on the other side of the bridge, we're like, so we're gonna go to Suzuka together next year, right? Like,
Yeah, so we're going to Japan.
See you there.
and the fact that that happened over the span of the minute that it took us to walk across the bridge, just I think again proves, like, we talk about all the time how like we've met so many amazing people through motorsport. Like we have really, really good relationships. Like people that I would consider like my best friend. I talk to him every day. That like if me and Gracie didn't start this motorsport channel, we would have never met them. And the fact that we're able to meet so many people from around the country and from different places and different backgrounds and different ages, it's just super cool. And it's like a unique experience because while we're all creating like content, like motorsport content is like pretty like niche. Like it's a small community. So it always makes it, I don't know, it makes it more fun that we're able to do stuff like that.
Agreed. I also think that there are so many different types of content creation in the motorsport space. Like I see girls that make these really cool TikToks with like transitions and cool and high fashion. I'm like, I love that. I love following. I love seeing all your race outfits and like stuff like that. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's not my style, So I think it's fun, like being able to see and meet other creators and like know I can totally be inspired by them and like love their pages and follow them and know that like most of my stuff is me getting on yapping about what I think about racing, and like there's space for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And right, like that's the coolest part, is like I can watch other motorsport content creators and be like, oh, that makes me want to try a video that's out of my comfort zone, like making a video about my Miami outfits.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, this isn't my normal content. I feel a little nervous, but still feeling like I have the courage to do it because I follow other people who do it. But it's a lot of fun.
It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. We always joke that we were like, oh, maybe we'll like create some content one day. And one day we looked at each other and we're like, who knew that we would make content about cars? Race cars?
No, because it's true, because we always joke around like, well, I mean, all through college where I was like, oh, we're so funny. Like people would love us. Like social media, we need to get like famous on social media, like as a joke. And then like flash forward, like too many years, 8 years. And we're like, oh, we make content about race cars when like 8 years ago, we knew nothing about race cars. Like it truly was like a bit of a big switch for us.
Yeah.
But like, again, yeah, it just tells you how things just happen for a reason, I guess. It's so much fun, but
they absolutely do.
Okay, wait, you went to COTA last year? Where did you sit?
Yeah, so I've gone to COTA since 2021, 2022,
Oh, nice.
I think. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think it's like 2022 maybe.
We went last year, we bounced around a bunch of different places.
My first few years, I went with my dad, my stepmom, and my husband, and we were really die hard about sitting at turn 15 in the grandstands. And then 2 years ago, when my dad and stepmom were like, hey, we're not going to go this year, my husband and I were like, let's do general admission and like see the track in a different way. And so we did general admission starting 2 years ago, and I'll never go back.
Oh, really?
Like, I love the general admission experience at COTA. I've like found my spots that I love, but I feel like you see so much more of the track that way there. So same thing last year we were bing bonging around the whole track, getting my steps in. It was like, 8 miles a day. Like, I'm like, is this Europe? It's this little Europe outside of Austin, because I'm getting as many steps in as a Euro vacation.
The like trek to turn 11 was crazy.
Yeah, we did go out to turn 11 one of the days. It happened to be like the hottest day too.
Yeah.
And there's like no shade in the walk, and I was like, I don't know if I can do it, guys. I made it.
None.
I made it, but it was a trek for sure.
It's humbling. And, 2 years ago, my friends and I kind of like started like a joking, like drinking game of like take a sip every time you see someone walk by and they're like brand new cowboy boots that they wanted to wear because it's Texas, and like people want to theme out. But then you see throughout the day, you see them start to take them off and just go barefoot. You see people stopping carrying what they look like, because there is no shade. That water in those refilling stations is mostly hot.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just trying to survive out there. They're driving to survive on track, and you're just trying to survive off the track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to survive.
Yes. What are some of the other races you've been to? All like motorsport.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll kind of do like a year review. So we started with COTA in like 2022. Or 2021, 2022, I can't remember which season. And then after that, for 2 years, I was talking with my dad and my stepmom, and I was like, we really want to go to some of the European races, and we'd like to go where we could hit like 2 back-to-back and like make a trip out of it. Would y'all want to come with us? And they were like, heck yeah. My dad was like, that would be incredible, but like, you've got to plan it. Done. I love planning a trip. It's like, as soon as it's discussed, I'm leaving that conversation with an itinerary and with it planned. So we pretty quickly looked at the calendar and decided that in 2023, we would do Zandvoort and Monza back to back. So we flew to Amsterdam, spent a weekend there, and did the race there, and then flew over and did some travel in Italy between, and then finished at Monza. And that was absolutely incredible. And 2024, my husband and I said we loved that so much the year before that we actually want to do the triple header, the European triple header. So last summer we went and did Barcelona, Austria, and Silverstone. Wow. And it was amazing. Like, eat boiled egg diet, ramen noodle diet, do whatever you have to do, because like saving up all of our pennies to make that trip happen was absolutely worth every bit of it. We worked every credit card point system we could. We did do the camping in Austria. We did a lot of our tickets that we did for the European races we did with P1 Travel, and that was they just make everything so smooth.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was incredible. But the camping was so fun.
Was it?
Like, if you ever go to Austria, you've just got to do the camping experience. It's so fun. And they've got shower stalls and stuff there, and they've got restrooms there, but it was incredible. They cook all your meals for you. So 24, we did the European triple header. And then I did the Lone Star Le Mans at COTA for WEC, and that was an absolute blast. That was my first endurance race to go to. Last year, endurance racing was my series I wanted to get into and learn about. So each year I kind of pick like a new series that I really want to get into and learn about. So did Lone Star Le Mans at COTA, and then went to COTA for F1. And then this year, obviously, started off strong with Miami, and we'll go back to COTA and are doing Vegas for F1. But I'm going to my first IndyCar race. I'm super excited. We are going to Laguna Seca out at the WeatherTech Raceway at the end of July. So I am. It's a 2-for-1 because my husband loves golf. And our buddy Gary that loves golfing with us and loves traveling, and he went to the Lone Star Le Mans with me, and he was like, I think I kind of like racing. And he came to NASCAR with us earlier this year too. He was like, well, if we go to California, we can do 2 birds, 1 stone. We can do a golf trip and go to the IndyCar race. I'm like,
you should sign me up.
Done.
Don't have to convince me.
Done. To like twist my arm, I'm like, tickets are booked, we're going. So I'm super excited to go to my first IndyCar race. Awesome. Had a blast at my first NASCAR race back in March at COTA. Basically anything that exists at COTA, I'm gonna go to. As long as I'm free on a weekend and can afford the cheapest ticket they got, I am in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I would love like we aren't close to any of like the F1 races. IndyCar, we're lucky because we live pretty close to Indianapolis, so we get the benefit of like being
Uh-huh.
able to go to a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
there. We're close to Mid Ohio, but Laguna Seca is on my bucket list
Me
for
too.
IndyCar or really any race because I just need to see that corkscrew in person. I am so jealous about that. That sounds amazing. And then,
Well, and I think I was like really ready to fully commit after watching the IMSA race.
oh
I was
yes,
like,
yeah, like yeah,
yep.
I need to see that for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I've got to do
Are
that.
you, so you mentioned IMSA, like I kind of do the same thing that you do where like I try to, and both of us really, we try to like deep dive into a new series each year. So like last year we kind of dived into IndyCar, and this year I'm really deep diving into like IMSA, and I really like Elms right now. I'm like watching all the Elms races. But with IMSA, I am here to convince you that you have to go to the Daytona 24 next year. I'm putting it on your
I
radar.
like, I don't need any, like, that's done. So what's funny is that the Daytona 24, like I was watching it this year and I was like, I should be there.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're like, people say like wrong place, wrong time. Like that's like kind of my life story. I'm always wrong place, wrong time. And it was like I was getting ready for a work trip and I was like, I'm supposed to be there. Like that's where I'm supposed to be. That's the right place. That's where I need to be. So it takes no convincing for me. I am
Okay,
in.
perfect. Because we will be there. I went this year. It was legitimately one of the most unique like race experiences I've ever been to because not only is it like 24 hours long, which is just so fun, but also like you have so much access. Like I don't know exactly how like much access you get with like the WEC races, but like even IndyCar, which you'll notice is like shocking the amount of access that you get compared to the Formula One races. Like the first time we went to an IndyCar race, we were walking through like the paddock because it was like $100 difference to get the paddock and pit. So we're like, okay, we're getting it.
Oh,
Walking
yeah.
through and we're like, are we supposed to be here?
Can
Are
we
we
be
allowed
here?
to be here? And even then,
Like, did we get past
I
security
know, I'm like, did we
somehow?
accidentally sneak past security? But like, even then, the amount of access you get with IndyCar, it still blows my mind the amount of access that we got at the Daytona 24, like with IMSA races in general, because like they want people, like they want more fans, they want to bring people in, like they are like begging for people to come in and experience IMSA. So they're literally like, no, just come into our garage, come in and look, like come see this, come see that, like.
Come check it
Exactly.
out.
So it's such a fun experience. Everyone there is like super into like the racing and they're there for the racing. They've come like watched IMSA for years, so like getting to talk with other fans. So I will say if you end up going to Daytona next year, let us know because we will be there for sure.
Well, and here's the funny part is that I usually always have a work conference in Florida like that
Mhm.
week. And so I'm like, what we need to plan better.
Yeah, like let's plan it
This
perfectly.
is we being
Yeah.
me. We being me and my bank account need to plan better because I'm like, well, if I'm already gonna have to be there for work, like why not?
Absolutely.
So I take no convincing when it comes to discussions of a trip that involves car
Oh, I
racing.
love
Perfect.
that.
You'll get along great with us because unfortunately we can be talked into
I'm
most
like, I will
things.
start
Yeah, we
sitting
can.
money aside every paycheck.
Yeah.
Like it is just, I have a third account that it's like, I can just funnel that. That's my like race
Yes.
fund.
I literally was just thinking that. I was like, I need to open up a third savings so I can just throw
Yeah, it's like
stuff
that's
in
my
there.
racing fund.
And honestly, like people don't talk about it enough, an Etsy shop. Like open a little Etsy shop, have it be your little honey pot. I'm a huge thrifter. I'm a thrift flipper.
Oh,
So I sit like when people are like, how do you pay to go all these races? I'm like, I thrift flip. I have an Etsy shop and I set money aside and I will budget. There is something in my brain that knows that I can make a budget work if I really want to do
yes.
something. And so I just put my mind to it.
Yes.
And then it's like I also just will do research about like what's the most affordable way to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a passion deep within myself.
Well, we are also like in that way, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, before we get too far, I want to hear about the atmosphere at both Zandvoort and Monza because those are such just, I feel like they always have such good fans, especially Zandvoort and the Max fans. I need to hear about it.
Okay, you guys, Zandvoort was mayhem because there was so much rain.
Oh, that's
It was
right.
like the week, it was like 2023 Zandvoort, so much rain. The Dutch people just are next level. Like they are out of control wild. Like people are chugging Heineken from the moment they open their eyes. But it like logistically so smooth. Like just taking the train out, you take the train out, it's a quick walk, or you can take a bike. It was so amazing. So glad that I got to do that. But I literally like made a note to like, I circled Monza and like put a star to like tell you guys it is my best racing experience to date. The only other one that's ever come close in terms of like fan experience and engagement and like the feeling was Miami this year, actually. Monza, there is just something that I think is so special about it. And especially like if a Ferrari gets on podium. When I was there, Carlos Sainz got on podium, and it was Carlos and Charles battling to the final lap for that podium. So either way, I was going to be a happy girl. But it's funny, like on the episode of our podcast we just put out, I literally said like, never in my life did I think I would be a Tifosi. I was going to be a diehard McLaren girl forever. And then I went to Monza and I left and my life was changed.
Oh, wow.
Seeing a Ferrari get on podium at Monza and what that meant to them. I had no voice. I was screaming.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like I'm like you'll probably hear a clip of it on social media, but I literally was like telling my husband, I was like, this is the best day of my life, and he was like, what about our wedding? And I'm like, no, this is still the best day of my life. Like it changed me in a way I cannot describe. And Monza is honestly one of the most affordable races in that European circuit. There are so many options for lodging in Milan. You can take the train out. It is so dirt cheap to take the train out. The food there is so incredible, so inexpensive. I'm just a huge fan of the Monza experience. But fortunately, when we were at Zandvoort, someone did tell us, like one of the people that works at the track, and then we were actually talking with some of the F1 staff. They told us, they just said, just pack your patience. It's an old school race. You have to have your paper tickets printed. They don't do digital tickets. Like it is in the middle of nowhere. It is an old school race. Fill up your water bottle before you leave to go get on the train to go back, because you will wait hours. But because we had that heads up, we were a little bit more prepared. Yeah. So it made it a lot better of like knowing that ahead going there. And it was just absolutely incredible in terms of the environment, the fan experience, the celebration, the on-track invasion. And our tickets were main grandstand right across from the podium.
Wow.
What do you think those tickets would cost?
I mean, if we're talking Miami or Vegas prices, thousands.
Thousands.
They were $600
That
a
is
piece.
crazy.
And that is a lot of money. Let's be clear. That is still a lot of money. But we said, would we rather spend more to just go out on race day? Or like, would we and have like a really good seat for race day? Or would we rather have a cheaper ticket and go out 3 days? And we picked, let's spend the money to go all out, full send, and see what we think. Now, a main grandstand finish line ticket at Coda is probably going to run you about $2,800. So just for like reference for those people that think like going to European races a lot, like literally I got a ticket and all of my travel and all of that for less than what that same type of ticket would cost here in the US. So finagle the numbers, make it work, do your research, find the spot that you want to sit in, and then start looking. And Monza was life-changing.
That is
awesome.
I love
that.
No, it is so true. Because we were talking about how, our goal is to go to an international race next year. We had a couple different ones in mind. Suzuka's our main one we're looking at right now, because if you think about, like, yes, the plane ticket is going to be the biggest chunk of what you're paying for. But obviously, the more advanced you get it, the cheaper it is. But also, like, we did the research, and a full weekend, like, even literally getting the fan experience where, like, you get to get on the little trucks that go around the track before the race, with getting that ticket for the full weekend and our plane ticket is the exact same price of our plane ticket plus our normal grandstand seat for Miami, because that is how much less expensive it is to actually go to the race. Same with like the Hungary race, like we were talking about going to that, because it's so cheap. Also, I've been to Budapest before. It was like one of my favorite cities I've ever visited. So that's another one that's
it's on my
it's
list.
like that one's on my list too. And then this one isn't as financially affordable as those two, but we also really want to go to the Brazilian Grand Prix, like in the Brazil race.
Ooh, I bet that one would be amazing.
So good. Same with the Mexico race, which wouldn't even be that far.
Yeah, Mexico's got. I'm like I think Mexico's going to be a 2027 race for me. Like I already have my 2026 races picked out, so I'm like 2027. Mexico's definitely on that.
What are your 2026 races going to be?
Japan, for sure. Want to do Japan. And then next year is my stepmom's 50th birthday, and it falls right when Abu Dhabi usually falls. So after I was talking with her, I was like, what races do we want to do next year? And she was like, let's start saving now. We're doing Abu Dhabi for my 50th birthday. Like, that's what I want to do.
So cool.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm like, as long as it falls I hope it falls that same time of year. It would be really great for it to align, for it to be on her 50th birthday weekend.
Gosh.
But either way, like that's what we're working towards. And just like following other content creators, like the Pit Lane Twins, they do a lot of races, and they've just spoken so highly of the Abu Dhabi race. And so I was like sending all the videos to Tammy last week, and she was like, yeah, done. That's what we're doing.
I love
so
that.
those are my ones for next year.
Wow, that would be so cool. I would love to go to Abu Dhabi one year.
Yeah.
A rate, the possibility that like the Constructors Cup or even the Drivers' Championship could be decided in Abu Dhabi. Like always those later races, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we were there in Vegas last year.
I know.
When Max won the Drivers' Championship. I'm like, I need to see a win again.
Like I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Vegas this year.
I know we don't have any plans set to go to Vegas, but like where it's like one of those things that's like we'll probably end up there.
Yeah.
We'll probably get there.
Yeah. So I booked an Airbnb that had free cancellation months ago just because I was like, I want to have it booked and just in case. And then Southwest had a flight sale, which like that is my biggest tip for like planning ahead for races is like work your point system. So whatever, like for us, we have a Southwest credit card. So we like for all like US based races, we try to fly Southwest and we work the point system and get the points, buy points when they're on sale. Same thing for like European races. I fly United a lot for work. So I got the United credit card and we put a lot of our purchases on there. It is cheaper to buy the points and use the points to buy your ticket than it is to buy the ticket outright on most of those European flights.
Good to know.
So always watch for point sales around holiday weekends. They usually do like 100% points match. So big fan of working those airline credit cards to be able to make it work. What's also nice is that when you book those trips on those points, especially for those European ones, if they dip down, you can rebook and they'll refund you the difference of those points.
So nice.
So like let's say you book so like for Europe, let's say you book 40,000 or 50,000 points going there, 50,000 points coming back, and then they have a flight sale and it dips down to 30,000 points. You can change your flight and rebook it, and then you get the points back.
I need to like take notes.
Yeah,
no,
that is good.
So good.
I save all of I make these little itineraries and link all my TripAdvisor lists for like everywhere we go. So I'm happy to share them, and they all have like a little page. One is like tips and tricks about like booking your hotels, Airbnbs, airline points, all these things. I will happily share.
Yes, I would love that. You should be like a F1
travel advisor.
Yeah.
Okay, I did look into it because there's a company called Fora where you can do like you can be like a trip planner, travel advisor or whatever, and like do it on your own time. And I was like, that would literally be the perfect crossover of like my two passions is like helping people plan F1 vacations. So in the future, it could be on the forecast.
And we will reach out to you.
I know, we'll be like, Mare, we need help. We're somehow trying to go to Suzuka, and then we're going to probably go to like the 5 races after. Can you just plan us to just travel the world? And
we'll just plan. We'll plan the whole thing.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are going to Vegas this year. For this year.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're sitting?
So again, we don't like have set plans. I'm like, I just have the Airbnb booked, and then I've done like no recon. ever in terms of, I thought my husband would never do a Vegas race. And then he was like, I think Vegas would be a blast.
Fun.
So it is our plan. And now I get to start my research journey of like best places to sit, looking at the different ticket options. At this point, it's probably just going to be whatever is like the cheapest general admission experience, whether it's like a viewing package or something like that. Or I know that a lot of the grandstands dipped down right before the race last year. So I'm kind of like,
yeah, no, we
maybe
did. So last year we only did the race. We didn't do the full weekend. And honestly, it was perfect because we didn't take a lot of time off work. So we literally got in like, and it's because it's a Saturday race too. We got in like literally Friday night and we flew out Sunday afternoon. Oh yeah, your flight got canceled. She didn't get until Saturday. So she was literally in Vegas for like maybe like 30 hours.
I got stuck in Salt Lake City.
Honestly, that's really
all you need.
My thing was like, I was like, I'm not a huge Vegas person. So I was like, okay, Joe, I was like, my thought would be, let's go in Thursday. And I was like, what we could do is go in Thursday night and do like dinner and a show on Thursday. Friday, do like Vegas-y things and go to all like the F1 fan zone, you know, kind of stuff like that. And then Saturday race, Sunday morning, get up and get the earliest flight out of there and get my butt home to like clean air. And
literally.
Yeah, I will say one of the best things about Vegas, which we only had like really all day Saturday before the race to do like the fan zone stuff, which in Miami, for example, like they had the Williams fan zone and they had like the fan zone, like I guess the fan experience like store, but all of the other like fan activation things were like you had to like drive and you had to like go to the different places or Uber, or they were all spread out and they were different times and at the same times. And with I know it was like in Vegas, we literally, there was like each fan like experience activation was in like a different hotel, and you basically can walk from one to the next to the next to the next. And it was so much better of like an experience for a fan to be able to do that. So like Friday, like a good chunk of your day, like I say, definitely say set aside time to do that. Because I wish we almost had more time, because we had to like get back to the hotel and like get ready to go to the race, that we didn't get to like have as much time as we wanted getting to go to all of the different ones.
Right.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm writing down my tips and tricks too.
Okay, we need to know about your race weekend spoons.
Yeah, I know. So in your TikTok, you said, don't ask me. I'm not going to get into it. And I just won't. I'm not going to accept that. I need to know the lore.
Okay, the timing of y'all asking this is perfect, because it I just like made me laugh, and then my Corey just got really excited. Now she's zooming around with this toy bar of soap. It's literally a toy that's a bar of soap. So the spoon thing started. Prior to being in sales, which is what I do now, I was in education for 8 years. And on the side, I also tutored. And one of the families that I tutored for, the youngest son had Down syndrome. And the thing with him and his dad, like they were, the youngest brother and the dad were best friends. And it was like his little thing that he got this like thrill out of out of little spoons. And so the dad would always steal little spoons with him. So I tutored with this family for like almost 3 years. So like I got in on it and started stealing little spoons. It was like this thing where I would, and then I stopped tutoring for the family and I just kept stealing little spoons. And now I'm just a spoon klepto. And I just am this person who now it's progressed, and now it's small spoons or unique spoons. Like I'm looking at my spoon from like my Monza and Amsterdam box, and my flight got canceled from Amsterdam to Italy, and we had to stay there, and they put us up at the Best Western, and we had this breakfast, and like the best continental breakfast you could ever imagine. But their spoons were these very long spoons that were flat at the end, so it just looks like this little long shovel. And I was like, yeah, that's coming home with me.
Perfect.
So the spoon thing started out very sweet and cute and authentic, with like me doing it as like a way to bond with this family for this child that had Down syndrome. And then it just became, I no longer have an excuse, and I am just a spoon stealer. And people know it about me now and will steal spoons for me, and they'll be like, I got you this spoon. And I'm like,
you're like
what a weird thing, but I'm just a spoon
every
stealer.
time I see a unique spoon, I'm gonna be like, should I send this to Mere?
Should I get this to Mere?
Should I just send it on over?
Yeah. It's like, okay, so it's funny because like the weird things about me. It's like people steal spoons for me now, and people know I steal spoons. And then I work for a paper manufacturer, so like toilet paper, paper towels. So like the amount of pictures friends and loved ones send me of public restrooms, it's appalling. So it's like for those to be the two things that people like know about me, they're like, I'll steal spoons for her and I'll send her a picture of a public bathroom that needs better paper products. I'm like,
hey, can you get some 2-ply up in here?
yeah.
That's so funny. Wait, I love that. That makes me want to do something like that.
No, I know, but also like it's so cute how like you use the spoons in your shadow boxes to like display, which that's what the TikTok that made us bring this up is about. And I was like, even like, which it's a fantastic story, like backstory, but even without the backstory, it's just like a fun little thing that you're like, no, I have a spoon from every race that I went to, and now I have that like, in this little box to remember forever, and I just think that's so cute.
Well, I will tell you there is a moment of panic because like usually when I bring them home, I like keep them in separate parts of my backpack, like in an order. So I know like which part of the trip they were from. But there is this moment of panic when I'm like pulling out of a backpack when I get home and I'm like, wait, where did that come from? If I've got like multiple spoons, like what side of the box does it go on? But it's
you just start bringing like little a labeler with
a label maker,
so you can quickly make a label.
I need to like travel with a label maker that's like on the back of it, like what that spoon is.
With the city and the date on the back of the spoon, just to remember.
Yeah, she also bought a custom engraving kit. She's now engraving spoons.
Engraving kit to go. Just do a nice little activity for the plane ride. So
yeah. Stolen spoons available in my Etsy shop to fund future trips.
There you go.
We have some questions for you about both about F1 and IndyCar. We're gonna start with F1 first.
Yeah.
We just want to know like how you think the season's going and an early prediction for the Drivers' Championship. It's very early and it's so close.
It is very early, but like as a McLaren girl, a very, very happy girl so far this season. I love both Lando and Oscar, so it's been really fun. But it does like, I think like I watched y'all's episode earlier and I can't remember which one of you said it. It feels, it's like just like watching one person kind of like run away with it or like one team. It's kind of like, I want to see some competition up in here, So I do love closeness and in racing excitement. And that's why I think last season I enjoyed it so much, particularly the second half of the season. But I've been very happy so far. Early on in the season, I do think McLaren will continue to pull away with it. But I actually do foresee, I think Mercedes had a really strong start to the season. These last two races, I don't think are an indication of where I truly believe Mercedes is. So I think that McLaren will probably end up, McLaren will finish first in constructors. I'm predicting right now, I think Mercedes will be second and Ferrari will be third. If they can get Lewis dialed in with that car, I could see Ferrari taking a second half of the season, kind of like they did last year, and really progressing up. But in terms of drivers, I think it is going to be Lando and Oscar battling it out. And then, maybe Max in third. I don't know. I don't know what's going on at Red Bull, but it doesn't seem good right now. But I don't know. Like, I also think that like if Kimi, like Monaco sucked for Kimi, this last race sucked for Kimi, but that was not his fault. I think we could see Kimi start to get some podiums and really move up amongst the ranks.
I need a Kimi podium so bad.
I can't wait. Same thing, Isaac Hadjar, just delivering consistently. So Kimi and Isaac, I'm really looking forward to them getting their podiums this season. But one of you said it earlier too about Bortoletto. Like Bortoletto's getting up there, with that Sauber. Like if his gets dialed in just like Hulkenberg's did, like I could see Bortoletto doing really well this season too. And it's really cool to start to see once Sauber gives them a car that's drivable, like it clearly is for Nico right now. It's really cool to start to see why he was so good in F2 and why he's so well respected by those other rookie drivers. And I can't wait to see him start to deliver in F1.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have, because we know obviously Audi is taking over for Kick Sauber next year, but also Cadillac is coming in. Do you have any predictions on who's going to be taking the Cadillacs? I know you do, but share your predictions with me.
Yeah. 2 months ago, I would have said signed, sealed, delivered, Checo and Herta. because my thought was Checo's experienced F1, but Herta is Andretti's boy, and with Andretti's role in the Cadillac F1 team, he has his super license. You know, I thought I could see that happening. And then with Herta's performance in IndyCar not being tip-top shape right now, I really am leaning towards like a Checo. I'm really leaning towards like a Checo Schumacher lineup.
I would love that.
Because I think that Schumacher has delivered consistently over in WEC for Alpine. And so unless Alpine is in conversations to bring him back to F1 in some capacity next year, which I don't foresee, honestly, I could see that happening. The other people that I know are kind of in talks, like Zhou Guanyu, since they'll be using a Ferrari power unit, or Bottas, which like I would love to.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a really risky move for them to put Checo, who's really far into his career, and not pick a second driver that's a little bit earlier in their career.
Yeah.
Like they need to get a good few years off Checo, which seems like a pretty signed, sealed, delivered thing, and really have his leadership, his feedback getting dialed in with that car, the new 2026 regulations. I think it'll be Checo plus another that's younger in their career. And to me, Schumacher makes more sense than Zhou Guanyu does.
Yeah,
right now.
They were also throwing around Fred Vesti's name.
They were.
And Fred Vesti is driving for a Cadillac team in Le Mans this year. So that's another thing to consider too. I think Fred Vesti would do fantastic too, and I think he is similar to Mick in early enough in his career. He has a lot of experience with like endurance racing, like Mick does, but they have experience with like the Formula cars. So I think that either of them would be fantastic, and I do really want Checo to come back.
Yeah.
I think that he deserves a fair shot because he's a fantastic race car driver, and I don't think that the fact that no one has been super successful in that Red Bull car other than Max, I think it means that he needs another chance. Although there is those rumors that Daniel Ricciardo is going to come back, which I would love. I don't think it's going to happen. But I would love.
Okay, I have chills just even hearing his name. I'm sorry. Give me a minute to recollect myself.
I would love it. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it would be like the comeback of all comebacks if Daniel Ricciardo came back.
Yeah. I will say, I was Checo's number one hater.
We were too.
We had some moments.
I have to own it. But I think it's important that I have grown and matured, and I acknowledge that my hate of Checo was actually never about Checo, but more about Danny and my thoughts and feelings about understanding and really fully believing that this was not Danny and it was not his performance, that it was the car. And now I know, because we've seen the pattern over the last, however many people are going to be in that seat. The car is the problem, not the driver. So I now can acknowledge and say I was wrong, and it wasn't Checo, and Checo was a really talented driver. And I never didn't think he was talented, but I think like in my heart, I was just like, it should have always been Max.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's true. Like we definitely, there were times where we're like, okay, why is Checo still in the seat? Why are they holding on to him so long? And it definitely stemmed from us thinking, hey, Daniel's performing better. Yuki's performing better. Why are they not being moved into this seat? What's taking so long? We know it was taking so long. Obviously the sponsorship is a big thing. So we were never, we were also saying like, why is Checo still here?
100%.
Again,
I thought after Zandvoort last year, I thought it was for sure happening. Danny and Max left the race together.
I was crushed.
We're drinking champagne together, carrying each other's helmets. Like I was like, oh, for sure, they're happy. And then it was like 3 days later, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
The turnover was insane.
I was so heartbroken because it almost felt like this is 100% happening, and they're like, never mind. Sorry, we changed our mind.
We'd lose too much money at the Mexico race.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think that whoever is in the second Red Bull seat, it's gonna struggle because the car is set up for Max. It's made for Max, and even Max is struggling with it a lot of the time. He complains a lot about it. So like, fix the car. Why are we not fixing the car? What's going on?
I am all on board with y'all though. If they dare touch Isaac,
it's too early.
It's too early.
No. Yeah. Cool. What did y'all say? Don't demote him to Red Bull. I'm like, please don't.
Put the phone down.
Let the man stay.
No, because he's doing fantastic in the V carb, and I truly believe
doing fantastic.
He can get a podium in a V car, probably like this year. There is potential this year for him to do it. The right race. I mean, we had a double Alpine podium last year. Anything could happen, especially in those rain races where things get shaken up.
Anything is
possible. So I
think it healed. I think it healed them a little. You know,
it did.
With
they
Pierre
needed that.
and Esty,
really
like I think it healed them.
It was very sweet.
It was sweet.
Okay, speaking of podiums, we've had 4 people on the podium this year. Lando, Oscar, Max, Charles, George. That's 5 people. My bad.
I was like, we're missing someone here.
Who do you think?
The math ain't
No, that is not a bad thing. Who do you think will next be on the podium?
I gotta go Kimi. I think it's gotta be Kimi. I mean, I think we've seen him be able to set amazing lap paces. When his car is dialed in, he shows pace. He shows the ability to hold his own when other drivers are driving competitive and aggressive and elbows out against him. I mean, even just like seeing some of those qualifying lap times, like he's got the pace. And if Mercedes can get whatever technical issues are going on figured out, I see Kimi being the next to get on the podium.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to say Lewis. I really do. But that situation's breaking my heart. So if it isn't Kimi, I think it's Alex Albon.
That's what I think.
I would love Alex to return to the podium, and I think it would mean, like, obviously to mean a lot to anyone, especially like Kimi would be fantastic, but like Alex, I think he needs it. He really needs it right now.
I agree, and he deserves
absolutely.
it. He has fought in the trenches for years. And like, I don't know. I think my best friend is just now getting into Formula One. And so I'm like, and she's just now like catching up on like Drive to Survive and like watching races. And, you know, and she was like, okay, so like, I'm confused because like I'm watching Drive to Survive and Williams is crap, but like this season Williams has been good. And I'm like, she's like, am I going to be a Williams fan? And I was like, everybody is a Williams fan. You can like other teams and other teams be your favorite team. Everyone is a Williams fan. At the root of it, I truly believe that. Everyone wants to see Williams do well. Everyone wants to see Alex on that podium. Everyone wants Carlos Sainz to prove Ferrari wrong, that he was a talented driver. And so, you know, I mean, obviously I'm wearing a Williams shirt. So I do believe in Williams and what they're doing and that they're headed in the right direction. I think Alex is a little bit more dialed in with that car. He's been there more time. You know, he's got the bond. It makes sense. So I would love to see an Alex podium.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I think I might like cry.
No, it would probably
scared of my
reaction. Very
reaction.
emotional for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Paul, one of the co-hosts on our podcast, he makes fun of me all the time. He's like, "Oh, you're just gonna cry about it." I'm like, "Yeah, I will." Like I am. It's not within me. Like I watched The Seat again on Netflix for like the 4th time. Cried for 40 minutes straight. Can't help myself.
I haven't watched it. I still need to watch it.
Yeah, we do. We need to sit down and watch it.
Oh, it's great. It's phenomenal. I can't wait to hear your
I think I'm like, part of me is like a little, not scared. Obviously, I like it, but like I'm a little scared to watch it.
Yeah.
It's gonna give you so much more respect for the situation he was in and what he was coming into. Like it gave me a lot of respect for Toto too. Which I will say I needed a little research.
That's actually so fair. That is so fair.
Most team principals, you need to go through a refresher with them and be like, okay, fine, there is some good there.
Yeah.
They're so easy to hate.
It's so easy.
And some of them do deserve it.
Well, it's just easy to make, it's easy to be the fall guy, right? When you're the team principal, you're the fall guy. I'm mad at you.
Like, it took me a long time to get over James Vowles giving Logan Sargent's car to Alex Albon last year in Australia. Like, it took a lot. Me to get past that.
That was wrong on every level.
So wrong.
That's one of those things. It's okay to just say like I'm not ever going to be over that. Like
it was tough.
I'll never forgive you for that. Like that was unacceptable in every sense.
That was one of those things where I was thinking about it for so long, and I was like, why can't I get over this right now? And I was like, man, I'm really in deep into this sport.
No, it's like one of those moments that like I felt so much despair during that like situation and so much heartbreak for Logan Sargent. I'm like, this man doesn't know I exist. This sport, I'm like, I need to chill. Like I need to take a step back. I need to chill for a second. Like
I get it though. I mean, like Singapore, I don't even remember where my husband and I were going. We were walking into the airport and it was the last lap of the Singapore race. And Joe was like, we need to get through TSA. And I was like, no, we're sitting down right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sat down and was bawling my eyes out watching that last lap, watch him put that set of softs on and go out and get that fastest lap because he knew that was his. I was sobbing. Literally 15 feet from TSA. So then I'm like, hold on, let me go on through. I'm not a flight risk. I swear. I just watched my favorite driver drive his last race and watched his heart get crushed into 1,000 pieces. And mine did too.
It's so sad.
So sad.
He needs to come back. I don't know how it's going to happen.
I can't tell if he's just like fully over it and done.
Yeah, I do fear that maybe he's like.
Yeah.
But then why was he in the Doritos Gatorade commercial?
Exactly.
Wait, why?
Why was he?
Are you serious right now?
Like,
That's him.
just,
I know that bridge.
Yeah. I know that nose anywhere.
I know that nose anywhere.
I know that nose in any lineup.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Formula One,
I just maybe think he's like flirting
Yeah, he's
with
like,
it.
well, maybe,
like, you know, for like
think
brand
about it.
deals and
Yeah.
fun. Like, and then he's like, oh, check out my new Enchante collection. I'm like, no, I want
I
you.
don't want your merch. I want you.
Get
No,
that.
it is. Formula One will like never not surprise me. Like I'm like I need to
Mhm.
expect anything. Like I can't. I am still shocked by things constantly,
No.
and I don't think I will never not be shocked by things. Like I'll never forget seeing the headline about Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, the amount of people, because it was huge news across all sports fans.
Mhm.
I had friends that had
No doubt.
knew nothing about Formula One, knew
Yeah.
nothing about motorsport in general. My coworker literally texted me being like, Lewis to Ferrari, and I was like, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. This is crazy.
It was insane.
Yeah. It's iconic moments. I don't see Danny coming back to the
Mm-mm.
grid as a driver, but I do see him coming back in. He deserves some time away, a reset, but I do see him coming back in some form or fashion to be connected to the sport in
Yeah.
some way.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
I would love to see it. Okay, we want to talk about social media real quick because I feel like some teams, VCarb, have been doing so good with social media. And like, not where did it come from because they've always kind of had good social media, but the Kardashian sounds are just, I think that's my favorite thing to happen this season so far.
Oh, 100%. So like the Kardashian ones, because and I think like Yuki did a really
He did.
good job of like engaging with it early on, but like that's just not who he is. And like you could tell that he like did it because admin asked him to, but like Liam and Isaac
They enjoy
genuinely
it,
seem
yeah.
that they're like they enjoy it. And even though Liam like does interviews where he's like, it's the worst part of the weekend, it's so uncomfortable, it's so embarrassing. Okay, well you're absolutely hamming it up. So it's like the Kardashian ones. And then I think the peak for me was the hi Barbie with the pink V-carb
Oh,
livery
so
good.
by the Miami water. And then it got to the end and they're like, my job is done.
Yeah, no, it's
I
so
wish
good.
like that to me is just the best.
It's so good.
It's the best. And then Isaac's point
yeah.
one.
Yes. I
It's
love
so
that
good.
one.
And I think that
So good.
social media, like, you can tell which teams' drivers definitely actually like enjoy doing it. Like none of them say that they like doing it,
Yeah.
but there are definitely ones that will be a little bit more willing to do things. Like even like McLaren, like Lando and Oscar, like they talk all the time. They're like, "Oh, this is the work," blah blah blah. They're always there doing it with a
Yeah.
smile on their face, you know. Versus
Yeah.
like,
You know who else I think deserves a shout out is Aston Martin. Like they're
Yes.
not doing a lot, but it's like the team, the garage got
Yeah.
into it
That was
last
so
year.
good.
But like even like Lance and Fernando Alonso wanting to like do
Mhm.
stuff, and like there's just like even having their own personal TikToks now that are like obviously not theirs that they're
Right.
running, but like I think they're engaging in that way and it's funny. And then like also what Aston Martin is doing in terms of like for content creators,
Oh,
like
yes.
they're really like they're doing that whole content creator academy for those select people. So I think Aston Martin deserves a shout out in that space. They see the value in it and are trying to embrace that and learn
Mhm.
from it and lift those people up. So I think they deserve a shout
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. The content creator like program was just like the coolest thing I feel like I've
yeah,
ever seen.
I think more teams should do it
Yeah.
because it's almost like they're like Aston Martin ambassadors, and they
Mhm.
or like I associate them with Aston Martin
Yeah.
now. it makes me enjoy Aston Martin because they're spreading the content and they're seeing what, showing another side of things that like other teams, even if they work with different content creators, they'll work with them for one race and they'll work with them for one race. But having like that core like ambassador type program, I think more teams should adapt or do something similar to it because it truly is like, and also they picked like the greatest people ever to work with. Like everyone in that group deserves to be there. So it makes it even better.
Yeah. My favorite one, what's her username?
Yeah.
Yes. And like all the, like she's been doing so much with Silverstone and like she covered the MotoGP race and all this stuff. I'm just like, I'm like loving her account so much. And it's just like, again, to like what we talked about earlier, like content that I would never think to create, but I love watching it and feel so inspired by it. It's so fun.
Absolutely.
Should we dive into the IndyCar world?
Yeah, let's get into IndyCar. Can
we talk about Alex Palou? Because, I mean, okay, this past weekend in Detroit, he didn't have the best race. But, I mean...
we don't need to talk about that. We're putting that in a box and putting it under the bed.
But he is just, like, absolutely dominating everything.
He's killing it.
He is Max 2023
yes,
right now.
He is.
What does that make Kyle Kirkwood?
And I love it.
Is Kyle Kirkwood Carlos Sainz?
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood's crushing it, too. Yeah, I don't know. Does that make Kyle Kirkwood the Carlos Sainz since Carlos Sainz was the only other one that won the race in 2023?
So far it does. No, I mean,
yeah, I love it for Alex Palou. It makes me so happy to see him doing well, but I do love some healthy competition. Like being a McLaren girl, obviously I love Arrow McLaren. I love Pato. He's one of my favorite personalities in all of motorsport, but I love Lundgaard. Nolan Siegel's so cute. Yeah. And then I love the Andretti boys too. Everybody over at Andretti. So Kyle Kirkwood, big fan. Colton Herta, I really tend to root for Arrow McLaren and Andretti in IndyCar, but I also just have so many just like little one-off drivers that I just like absolutely love and cheer for.
IndyCar is so interesting because like there are very few few of the drivers that I don't love, but for the most part it's like almost anyone like I'm happy for them when they win. Like I famously don't love Penske very much, but even like whenever I forget what race it was last year, Will Power won. And I was so happy for him. I was like, he's such a good guy. His son's there with him. This is fantastic.
It's like, what? There is something about Will Power that it's like almost intoxicating to me that it's like I just have never met the guy. And I just think he's like one of the best guys in the world. And it makes me just so happy. And I want to see him doing well. Yeah. I'm like, I love it. And even when my parents were here the weekend before my birthday, they were like, oh, Will Power. Yeah. My mom was like, I feel like I've seen his name for, years. And my stepdad's like, yeah, it's like, I just want to see him doing well. And I love that his family comes to a lot of the races and stuff. And then, who's the guy that just had a baby?
Scotty Mack.
Alex Rossi also just had a baby.
Yeah. Scotty Mack. Yeah. Scotty Mack is who I was thinking of. Just absolutely precious. Like bring your babies on the podiums, bring your babies to the finish line. Alex Palou and the daughter like kissing the brick. I was like,
so cute.
This is precious.
I love it.
This is the best. There's something, I don't know, I feel like with IndyCar we see a lot more of like their families and their lives, and I just really enjoy that side of it, and it makes me feel a lot more connected to them. So maybe that's why I feel more strongly, I don't feel as strongly about like having negative opinions about many of them. I don't know why. I love to hate Santino Ferrucci, and I don't know why.
Yeah, agreed. But it's funny you said like you feel like a stronger connection to the IndyCar drivers. Like that's something that I was talking to Gracie about recently, because like during like leading up to the Indy 500, like obviously like I don't like when any driver crashes during a race, and I don't like, especially like in Formula One, like this sport is so dangerous. I don't like any crashes. But with IndyCar, watching it, I get so much more nervous for the crashes, because this is gonna sound slightly like what is it, parasocial of me, but like I feel like I know them better just because like again we have so much access to them. Like I've talked to these guys many times in person at the autograph signings, when I run into them in like the pit lane, and they're all so nice that like I feel more of a personal connection, where I get almost more nervous for them to like crash during a race, or even just to be like sad during a race. Like Marcus Ericsson looking so sad when he came in second last 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I feel so much more like empathy for him than like if I saw like Charles sad for getting
Right.
P2 for another race. Like, I'm like, it's not the same. Like, I know them. They're my friends. Like,
I know that people, but I think it's also the fact that, like, let's acknowledge that the IndyCar crashes are
And
most of the time quite
Yeah.
violent.
they
Quite
always
violent.
look, because the ovals, it's really truly, oval crashes are like no other. Like, they are terrifying.
Yeah, I had people who don't even watch racing or anything like that, but like during like Indy qualifying, when I was like posting stuff on my stories and doing stuff like that, people were texting me like, "Oh my God, is that guy from your stories okay? Like, who was that? What was going on?" And like people who didn't even see my social media stuff that were like talking to me in like work meetings the next week, they were like, "Oh, that IndyCar crash, what happened, Meredith?" And I'm like, it's scary.
So
It's hard to
scary.
watch, and you have like a minute where you're just holding your breath, like just waiting for signs of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah,
it's terrifying. Like,
absolutely.
every time, like, my heart just drops every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, lately in IndyCar, we've been seeing some penalties come out. Days later, weeks later, last year, months later. We talked about it a bit on our episode from last week. So fresh, like, I don't know. I saw somebody tweet and they were like, "Do these people like just hire for these jobs?" Like, obviously not, but it's so frustrating to see.
And it's like, how are we missing these things in technical inspection? What's happening? Because you're inspecting after qualifying,
Mm-hmm.
you're inspecting after the races. What is happening with these delays? Like, it was like, even last night, like I headed to dinner with my friend Gary, and I get like the notification about Santino
Yeah.
Ferrucci, and then I'm like, that's why, I'm like, see? And then it's like everything with like the Penskes,
Mm-hmm. That was crazy.
like, I don't know if this is a harsh perception of me. I do think Joseph Newgarden should be stripped of his title from last year from the Indy 500.
Mm-hmm.
The same issues that were found on their car this year were found on the car in the museum. And it's like, how are we not stripping him of his title? Like, and the closest way that I can like relate it to something in my mind is like, I know Formula One best.
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen if that happened in Formula One?
Absolutely.
They would be stripped of their title.
It is,
They
and
would.
it's true. Like, how is it that there's no consistency over what is and isn't passing inspection? And I think Formula One does a really good job of it. Like, hey, this is bending the rules, but I guess we weren't clear enough in the rules. We have to let them get away with it. But we're changing the rules
Mhm.
tomorrow. So next weekend, it is not, it won't fly. And I think Formula One is super clear with that. Where IndyCar, there's a little bit more like wishy-washy, which is not great, because then it allows things like this to happen.
Right. Well, it's also, it makes me wonder, like, is it the same technical inspection crew at every single race that travels to every IndyCar race? Because it's like the safety crew is the same that
Mhm.
goes to every race and travels with the team. So it's like, why wouldn't the technical inspection team be the same and have that highest level of regard and standards for that level of consistency?
Yeah.
These are things that, like, being newer to IndyCar, I don't know those things, but it's like, if you've got the money in the organization to have the strongest safety response team in all of motorsport, they're trained at the highest level, you have a set number of people, they travel to every race, why wouldn't it be of the utmost ethical standards to be required that the technical inspection team is the same at every single race and travels to those races? Now, I understand rotating
Mhm.
people, right? It's like, even on the safety team, it's hey, we've got a larger team that are all certified and come, and you have your shifts, your weekends, right? But to me, the technical inspection process is a little confusing with IndyCar, and being newer to it, it kind of makes me feel like some weekends I know what's going on, and then some weekends like I know nothing.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like, what is going on?
What is
Yeah.
happening?
No, that absolutely is true.
Yeah, there's still even. I mean, I haven't been watching. I've been watching for a year or a little over a year now, but there's still some things I'm like, I thought it was different that way. And then I'm like, okay, I can't keep up sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every time I'm like, okay, I gotta go Google that.
Yeah, you're like, you think you understand, then it's also so difficult because, like, Formula One's also, I think, more consistent, like, race to race. It's very similar, but like with IndyCar, like, sometimes qualifying is different, and some, it's always a different type of track, and it's always a different schedule. Like, it's different times or different days of the week. Like, sometimes the race is on Saturday, sometimes it's on Sunday, sometimes you have a practice and then a quali and then a practice. Like, so it's so much harder to like a lot of elements, and like it's almost like you get like through a weekend and you're like, okay, I understand IndyCar, and then you get to another weekend and you have to relearn everything. So it's almost like it's hard to get a good grasp of everything and to feel like you have a grasp of everything. So that can make it difficult.
Yeah, and there's also just so many more races, it feels like.
Yeah, well, it's so weird too, like IndyCar's like spacing with their races. Like the first couple of races, it was like a race and then a month and then a race and then a month. And now it's like boom, 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 boom for like the rest of the season. That it's...
I know, like I was glad to have a weekend off this weekend. I'm like, well,
imagine how the drivers feel. Like they're probably like, oh my gosh, like, oh yeah, they've been nonstop since the beginning of May. So like, I can't even imagine how they're feeling.
They need a nap.
They need a nap.
Several naps.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
So last thing that we have to discuss with you, which is happening
as we post
this, it'll be happening later this week, is Le Mans. And we love Le Mans. We watched it last year. So we kind of want to check with you. Have you ever watched Le Mans, or have you, and if so, like, what's your strategy for watching?
What's your watching strategy? Yeah.
I like a 3-hour stint. Nice. And then I like to get up and do some chores. I feel like 3 hours is like the maximum amount of time I feel comfortable like being on my couch or on my recliner without feeling like, okay, I must move my body. But I love a 3-hour stint because I feel like I get a lot of action in a 3-hour stint. And then you go and you do other things and you mingle, you meander, you do chores, you plan your meals around it, and you come back to it. And then, but I'm a sleepy girl. I sleep a solid like 8 to 10 hours every night. So it's like, I just know that when I'm tired, I'm just going to go to bed and I'm just going to have my alarm set to get up and finish it. And I think like with them being on max this year, like even the 6 hours, the 4-hour ones, the 8-hour ones, like with them being on max, it makes it really accessible and easy to like just like dial back in, and I can go back to my last spot I watched from and then like fast forward and catch up, or I can just join live, which is what I usually do, and I like that the most. The 24-hour Le Mans is like an absolute bucket list item for me to go and do. I like it's just like it's gotta happen, and with where it falls in the calendar, it's like it's a lot lighter for my work schedule, and so I'm like eventually I just like have to make it happen. But yeah, big fan of it. I really have just I've been really excited about Toyota Gazoo Racing and Alpine in the hypercar category, and the Iron Dames over on the LMGT3 side. So it's fun just kind of being like, it feels really overwhelming watching Le Mans.
Yeah,
it does. And so just like knowing who my drivers are, when are their shifts kind of estimated to be, and really trying to plan out like when to watch them. Like, and now with like K-Mag being in endurance racing, it's like, me and two of my other racing friends, we call him Cousin Kevin. And so it's like, when is cousin Kevin's shift, And so it's like, we'll be texting each other. We're like, Cousin Kevin's driving, Cousin Kevin's doing great, So it's like, it's fun having like teams that I like to like watch for. And then it's fun having drivers that I like to
absolutely. That's how I felt at Daytona this year. Like, and watching Le Mans and Daytona last year, like I don't watch WEC very regularly, but I do like for endurance racing. I love the 24-hour long races. So I always like write down, because I normally pick my team based on like the drivers. Like obviously this year I'm rooting for the number 22 car because Pietro Fittipaldi. Also, I'm a big United Autosport fan anyways, because they're kind of linked with McLaren and all of that. So it's really a perfect situation for me. But I always have to like write down, like at the beginning, I do my research and I know the cars that I like. It just so happens that like most of the people I root for are all in the LMP2 categories, which like isn't great because it means they're going against each other. It's something I'm working through. It's fine. But yeah, like, similar, I really like Iron Dames. And I really want them to be successful just because I think that their, mission is so fantastic. But it is like, you have to almost like plan and research for it. Because you can't just turn it on and like know what's going on. It's so... comparing what I knew last year, which is the first year I watched Le Mans, compared to this year, like I feel already just so much more prepared and like knowledgeable about it, and I still feel like I know like 5% of what's happening. So like it's a lot to learn, but it's just so magical. Like, I am not a super emotional person. I literally cried last year when the Ferrari A, of course, team like crossed the finish line, and all of the mechanics were like broke down crying, and like it was legitimately like, and also like I probably didn't get as much sleep as I should have. Tears were streaming down my face. Gracie looked at me a little crazy.
I was like, hey, are we okay?
I was literally like, I'm just so happy for them. Like, they were all like crying and hugging each other and jumping around. And like, and because they are probably exhausted too. Like, this is what they've been working towards for, a whole year at the minimum. So like, it's such an emotional race. It's such a iconic race that like, I'm trying to get more and more people to like watch it, because it's just such good racing too. Like, it's wheel to wheel for literally 24 hours.
Yeah, I think that's what's fun about it though. It's like the fact that you said like I feel like I only know 5%. I think I actually like really enjoy that part of it though. It's like I love being able to watch and just be like excited by the racing. And I think like sometimes when I watch Formula One, and even now when I watch IndyCar, like I can get really like hypercritical and really focused on like the nitty gritty and the details. And sometimes I lose that like love of the art of motorsport. Like, it really is a craft. And so I think that's one thing about those 24-hour races that makes it a lot more special, is like, I can't get technical. I'm not going to do like, I take race notes when I watch races. I'm not doing that for endurance racing, because I just want to like sit in it and be present and like watch the action that's happening and be able to just like tune in, tune out, like, so it is a very emotional thing. It is really cool to watch. It makes me have so much appreciation for the sport of like what they're doing out there. Paul sent me a video earlier that was like talking about like 2 interesting things you might not know about the Le Mans race, the 24 hours of Le Mans. And it was like, drivers have to have a toolkit with them in the car, because if something happens on the track, they are the only one who can touch the car outside of the track.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they have to carry a little toolkit in the car with them, because if their car was to break down on the side of the track, they are the only one who can touch that car. If their team comes out to touch it, they have to retire the car. Wow. So if they make it to the pit lane, they can work on it then. But if it happens out on a lap, they're the only one who can touch it. So they have a toolkit. And then the other one was that they have a flip phone, cell phone with them, so that if something were to happen when they're out somewhere on the track, and like if their electronics like weren't working or something, they have that cell phone to be able to like call their team for like safety reasons. And I was like, see, like little stuff like that I'm like, I'm so excited to still be learning something new about it. And it's like, this is only my second year watching it too. So I'm super excited to be able to enjoy it. And it's, it's like, what a great weekend. We got Canadian Grand Prix in 24 hours of Le Mans, which I don't know how many times I'm also still going to slip up and say Le Mans. Yeah. I'm from Texas. I like the Le Mans, especially when it was the Lone Star Le
Mans. Yeah, no, I kind of talking, I didn't know about the toolbox and the flip phone, but stuff like that also, like, I think I've decided that next year my goal is to learn more about, like, rally cars, and that's something that's similar in rally cars, like, cool having to, like, there's, like, the clip, I don't know how recently it happened, I just kind of stumbled across it, but, like, their car was, like, overheating, and they didn't have any coolant with them, but a fan on the side of the road had, like, a can of beer, and they're like, use this, and they're like, okay, let me dump this beer on my car. And then they made it back to, the finish line and all this stuff. But it's just so, like, interesting, like, the differences. Like, imagine, like, a Formula One driver gets out and is like, hey, man, will you dump that beer over my car so I can finish this race? I'm super excited for Le Mans. I think it's going to be – I'm excited for the racing, but I'm also excited because I feel like a lot more people are planning on, like, keeping up with it and watching it this year, which always gets me excited. So I'm so excited.
I agree. I think that, it's like, it's been so fun to have so many people in my life that have like gotten into F1 or will at least like tune in and watch part of it. And like my husband's not down to sit and watch a 24-hour race, but he'll watch parts of it with me, and stuff like that. So it is just fun to have like other people who are like getting into other motorsports and getting to like talk with them about it and like learn alongside them. Cause it's like, I think a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's racing, everything about it. No, it's like, no, let me Google that. Like, and now we have parameters when people come over to my house and watch racing, where it's like, we have rules. If you have questions, you Google them yourself during the race. or you write them down and you can ask me after podium celebrations, but like during racing, questions to Meredith are off limits. Sometimes it's just because I'm so intensely focusing that I don't want to miss something. Sometimes it's because I might not know either, and we'll learn them together. Maybe you can Google it while you're wondering it, and then you tell me after the race, and maybe I learned something too.
Exactly.
We had friends over for Australia, and they were, it was pretty late at night, but they were like talking and, chatting. We had like ordered late night pizza. And then at one point I was like, guys, when you see the name Ruth Buscombe on the TV or you hear this voice, don't talk. I was like, I need you to stop talking.
Or like they would hear, like, one thing about me is like when we're watching the race, like when a little driver's like radio, like a little burp, sign comes on, I'm like, okay, we have to be silent. And I'm like, guys, you can't talk when the drivers are talking because it's always something good and it's always something important. You can't talk during this.
This is something we need to know.
So we're like, okay.
So it's just, which like luckily me and Gracie watch almost every race together. So like we get that, but new ones, I'm like, I'm so excited that you're wanting to watch this. I'm so grateful you're watching this, but just chill. Like you gotta be quiet though. You gotta be quiet during it.
I feel like y'all would do a really great job of a very cutesy podium pop guide to watching a race with a true motorsport fan. And like, here are like 10 rules to live by. Like, I would have that printed, framed, and in my
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we need to get the rules together for sure.
Make it all look cute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This has been a great episode. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Also,
thank y'all for having me on. This was an absolute blast.
Before we go, though, we know you have your podcast, you have an Etsy shop, you have your socials. We want you to shout them all out real quick so everyone knows where to find you.
Thank you. I'm MotorsportsMere on TikTok and Insta. My Etsy shop is also MotorsportsMere. And then the podcast I'm on, I just joined. There are two guys, Paul and Josh. They have the Apex F1 podcast, and they started that back last October, right around COTA time. And then we met through social media, and I did a couple of just like guest host episodes with them, and we had a lot of fun with it. And then they were like, "Do you want to stay on?" So turned the duo into a trio, and we just recorded our first YouTube episode one where it's like we did our audio and stuff like for Apple and Spotify, but we are also on YouTube now, the Apex F1 pod.
That's awesome.
So follow us, give us your feedback, and we do cuss a little.
Okay.
So
do we.
Yeah, so do we.
So we cuss a little.
Yeah,
Okay.
we actually made like we had a talk where like we should try to cut back on it, and we haven't really cut back on it yet. We're trying our best, but it's sometimes it's just you can't find another good word for it.
You need it sometimes.
No. Well, and it's just like with me and Paul and Josh, it's like we were fast friends in like I don't know, almost like it was almost like a siblings way. We immediately just started talking mess to each other, and it's like it's usually like a 2-on-1 argument style, and we just kind of talk mess back and forth on the podcast a lot too, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, would love to hear any feedback that any of your listeners have for us, and thank y'all so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And we'll get to playing in Suzuka.
Yes, and we'll also let you know if we're able to make it to Vegas, because we will have to meet up if we do. So
like I said, like in my heart, I'm gonna be in Vegas that weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything else needs to fall into place.
I have no doubt. I've already started shopping for leather pants because for some reason I've decided I really need leather pants.
Yeah, actually, that's so fair.
Absolutely.
It is such. I feel like that's the.
But I'm like, I want to thrift them. Like, it's like. It's on my board. I'm gonna find the perfect leather pants at my favorite Goodwill. I just know it.
We tried thrifting last year and we just couldn't. We didn't.
We didn't give ourselves a good enough idea of what we needed though.
That's actually true.
So maybe if we start earlier, know exactly what we need.
It's definitely like you gotta start it like months in advance. Like for Miami, all my outfits for Miami, I started thrifting like 3 months in advance. And so it's like you can't have a vision of exactly what you want. It's just inspiration. And then frequency of visits. I swear that's the only formula that works.
I need to up my game on thrifting. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week for Le Mans, Canada, and Gateway.
Yes.
Busy.
Very busy.
Bye.
Bye.